okay, we need some sort of office space.
What is circular design?
I would say it's also a transformation project.
We're talking capitalism here.
In your way, educate.
We don't want to educate, actually. We want to inspire.
It was like design phase super quick.
Make women more involved in architecture.
You have to compromise design excellence.
Where's the money? Where can I pay my rent?
Welcome to the new architecture interview on the Marchitecture channel, and today we are filming with LXSY. Thank you for coming and for supporting our channel. I would like to tell you how we both met, Margit and Wiebke. First of all, we were at the low-tech architecture forum at our university building, and then we met Margit there, and then we were at the big architecture event, Architects Not Architecture, and one of the guests on the scene was exactly Wiebke. It was a pleasure to meet you again.
Thank you for coming by.
Yes, we're in the lovely office of LXSY and we're super excited to talk to you both. So Margit, you and Kim started the company LXSY, and then you're partnered with Wiebke. Now all three of you are running the firm. Can you maybe tell us a little bit of what motivated you to start your own company and how the partnership with Wiebke influenced it?
Okay, well, maybe I start with Kim and me. We both studied also at the Technical University in Berlin, so that's where we met. We did our masters there. Kim came from South Africa, Cape Town, where she did her bachelor's, and I came from the Bauhaus University Weimar, which I did my Grundstudium. We had like the same interests in architecture that also provides a social impact. What is to improve our society and our world with our architecture. So this is how we started at the Technical University and ended up with our master thesis, a township upgrading program in Cape Town, working there with a local community. We went there twice, did workshop with them. That was pretty cool, and I think then we stopped, we did our degree, and then we were like, okay, and now we need first some working experience, I guess. I worked for an office in Berlin, since I also had 2 children, so I could not come with Kim to Addis Ababa. But after 2 years, we were like, okay, let's meet again and let's start something. Some call it brave, but I think it was also very naive. No jobs, no clients, no nothing. So we started off having the idea of implementing actually our master thesis in South Africa. And then we slowly got into this co-working. Our first client also was the Impact Hub Berlin. Slow but steadily, I would say. And then Wiebke comes into place, because then we found, okay, we really need to scale up. It was really great that Wiebke came to the same kind of conclusion, but from the other side.
And it was a point in my career where I had the feeling it makes sense to develop something on my own, but I didn't really want to do that on my own in that way. But I was really happy to support this existing office, and I mean, it was 10 years already, so there are people working here that also helped to build it up, and this is a grown structure where I could provide some of my knowledge to even scale it up. And I think this combination of the steep insight of circular building from Kim and Margit, combined with some impact from larger projects, this can have an impact on our building industry to make it more circular.
Could you please tell us how did you find, as 2 young architects, the first project on your own?
As I told you before, we wanted to implement our master thesis. It's still in our drawers, yeah, we didn't finish it, it's still in our heads and we really still want to do it. But anyway, we found ourselves there working in the kitchen of a friend of Kim's, and then we said, okay, we need some sort of office space. And so we were looking for the through the co-working spaces in Berlin, and we found this Impact Hub Berlin, which is like a co-working base, I always say, for people that want to change the world. We called them and asked them if you could rent desks there, and we started working there. And then a couple of weeks later, they came to us and asked us if we want to apply for a job for them, because they wanted to move to a bigger space. They needed architects to do the design for it. And then we pitched for the design, and then we got the design, and this was our first 3 months from getting the contract to moving in. It was design phase super quick, talking to carpenters, talking to all the people that really implemented our ideas, also talking to the Impact Hub community if they want to have, it was a very participatory way, co-creation but also co-implementing. So we were all there painting walls, varnishing tables, and it was very cool, but it was a first. And after that we were like, okay, that was nice, but where's the money? Where can I pay my rent? But through that project we got to have a foot into that architecture business, and the Impact Hub is a really cool partner actually, and I bet you know our latest project for them because they moved again to the Impact Hub in Neukölln. The 2 projects were a very key project for us. It was the first, and then it scaled up, and we really got into that participatory design together with the Impact Hub community, and people are involved with that. And then the next one, diving into that circular building methods.
Do you think that in the past years our architecture community in Germany has developed more integrated structure for women in general, and what you would like to do as a next step to make women more involved in architecture in the top roles in the firm?
on one hand, it's a question of office structures. On the other hand, it's also a question on client side, right? If they accept women in leadership roles. And I would say clients are quite used to see women architects in project architect roles, project management roles, or even in the team. But not everyone might be used to see women in partner positions. And I think this is still a bit away that everyone is involved in that. But on the other hand, we can also see that there are clients see that they also have the opportunity to do an impact if they contract women. So, I mean, it's a challenge, and for some, it's also an opportunity.
We're also here to talk about sustainability because that's a very important topic right now in architecture. I first heard about circular design actually from you, Margit. So I was wondering, what is circular design and what are the biggest challenges that you face when implementing it into projects in architecture?
Is trying to set up a circular economy actually in the architecture field. We always like define it in two things. Design follows availability, which means look what is there, building structures, like transforming existing building structures, but also implementing reused materials or building elements, like taking things from the past to the future. And on the other side, it's building everything that we build now for the future so we can reuse it again and again and again. One is like designing for reusability, and the other one is designing with like reused materials. The challenge, how many hours do you have? A lot. The challenges, they're like multiple, I would say. First of all, it's of course how a project in the phase 0, I would say, how they are implemented. Is there a will in like transforming existing buildings, or is there a will of like tearing everything down and start from zero? I think in our bubble, everybody's talking about transformation of building existing buildings, but I think out there, people are still like, no, let's tear it down because it's more sustainable to build new, which is wrong because most of the impact really, or the gray energy is in the construction. So this is like the phase 0, but then it's also like people hear this buzzword circular building, let's do this, but they don't really know what it means to really plan like that, to really build like that. And there are a lot of obstacles concerning like legal structures, normatives, mindsets actually, timelines, more payment maybe for building effort because we have to plan in variations, we have to do a lot of more work, but at the end it will pay. I'm not saying that taking reused materials is cheaper, not at all, but I'm saying that the whole industry needs to shift, and everybody that is like changing now is on the right track for EU taxonomy and all that jazz, I would say, because it's going to come in the future anyway.
I see the main challenge on client side actually, because we are very used to face those challenges and we have some experience now both with public clients and private clients. What we see is that especially on public client side, they really underestimate the processes they have to go through, and we are helping with that, but we can't do all the work inside their institutions. So this is a bit a thing where I feel that there is really a huge challenge, and this is why we also interested in do projects where even clients say we have a budget and we try to do it with only 5% or 10% reusable material. So we set up new processes, and I think this is a lot of work we are facing, and what comes with it is that underestimation of the time processes need on client side also has something to do with our economic side. So there must be the will, some commitment, a kind of partnership to do this together and to have fair contracts and fair fees.
Yeah, and to have the flexibility, not only on our side, but also on the client side. And it's also a matter of challenges within the whole tender phases, I would say, how we do contracts, but you talked already about that, but also about buying reused materials. This is also just like a legal thing sometimes. Everybody wants it, but they can't because they're in such a like a strict like corset actually. And then of course also like topic about warranty, about who's taking the responsibility for a used material. The more you dive deeper into the whole topic of circular building methods, the more obstacles you find. All the regulations, all the frameworks are so much on the track of a building new.
We optimize processes in Germany for building with new material, and this is ridiculous because when you look into the past, then there were a lot of reuse in material. When you see old castles, for example, the post-war buildings in the 50s, they tried to use a lot of existing material because they had none. Regulations weren't that strong in that time, and now we shaped all our paths we go. They are shaped for the case building with new material, and this is also because the building industry has an impact on that, and this is quite strong actually at the moment to change it, but nevertheless we have to try.
Maybe one little aspect which I think is a giant aspect, we're talking capitalism here, because it's like a whole like we need to grow all the time, but it doesn't work because there's only one world we have and we need to rethink everything we do.
And I think you still grow, but in another way, you know?
Yeah. That is true. It's not about like going back to socialism or not at all. It's about having redefining values actually, and I think this is the whole circular track is about redefining values.
It's a game to play in these very strict standards that are not set for what you're trying to do, and you're trying to do the good thing, you know. And I think that's why it's also so impressive and why we're here and want to talk to you about it. So thank you for playing the game, I guess. It's very cool.
How you can, in your way, educate or give advice to some clients or collaborators that work with you to be more educated in the theme of circular economy and circular building systems?
I think we don't want to educate, actually. We want to inspire at least our clients. I also think that if there is no common ground, someone really wants it, this is not the right thing, because you have to have this mindset and the openness to really try to go this way. And this is the common ground we need. We try to show them that circular design doesn't mean that you have to compromise design excellence, that this goes together.
Yeah, what we really need for the other side is really to take responsibility. This is a very crucial part, and it's always a matter of like individual mindset of a person that is sitting on the other side. It's a topic actually for the whole society to take more self-responsibility.
Could you share with us a project that implemented those circular design principles?
So it's the Impact Hub Berlin at Circular House. It's a former storage hall for vessels, former brewery setting in Berlin-Neukölln. And we did the interior design. And they wanted to prove that circular economy is well done also in the building industry. They gave us like a lot of freedom to find out like our own way, because it was also our first, so we didn't know how to do it. So we were like, okay, let's test it. So we did a lot of like sustainable design workshops, we called it, together with the craftsman, together with like the client, to test out if it really works or not. So it was very stressful, a lot of like low budget and in a very short time, but now we can use this whole information that we gathered there.
And it's 70% reused material,
bio-based.
And I think this is still something really unique. I would say it's also a transformation project, because you also had issues with fire regulations. So there were some issues where we still can see what worked, what went wrong. So we learned with this, and we can implement this on other fields.
How do you manage to be the same designer and to be creative and at the same moment to be the part of the leading role?
When I hear this question, I thought, for me, this is not such an issue about leadership, combining creative work and managing work, because for me it was always both. Also in my former roles as a project architect, I had to solve design excellence with management skills as well. So this was always a combination. What I think is, in a leadership role like we are now, it's about people actually. The will, supporting others in their role to prioritize their tasks and to help them when they have some questions about their tasks. So the best thing is, in a leadership role, if you try to make yourself not necessary anymore, because you support people so much that they are really conscious in their field.
What advice would you give to young architects that also want to start their own studio, or maybe particularly women? Maybe this is a self-serving question for us, because we really want to have our own company later, but I'm just curious, what advice would you give to us?
Well, we came up with a network. Of course, this is like a very crucial thing. This is what you already do here, I guess. So welcome. This is good, more than we had before we started. I think it's also like you need to be in a way brave or naive, or however you call it. Maybe don't consider all the challenges and problems that will come along. Just start doing it, I would say. But then also you have to have the willing to take responsibility for yourself, to like go through very deep valleys also. Sometimes you have to be willing to also take responsibility for other people. Of course, you can choose the people you work with, and this is also like one of the main things why we started our own office, to choose the people we work with.
I think it's really important with this question of hiring people, not to do the mistake to hire men for potential and women for proof, but don't look into gender too much, but really try to listen what people's focus is, and then you find out with whom you can work.
Thanks a lot for being here and for sharing the knowledge and for sharing the ideas.
And be brave and naive, hopefully, also in the future.
So this here is our little game we designed for the Biennale in Venice, because we were talking about the building, or the circular building methods, and we found this is, in Germany we call it a ladder game. You like go through, and then there's a ladder, and then you fall down, and then you have to redo it again and again. And right now it's being digitalized actually at the Technical University in Dresden. And this game shows a little bit about like all the challenges and all the procedures we went through actually in our project of the Impact Hub. You have different stations, so 1 through 6. Each station has a little package, and actually each station has its own way of playing. So we have like a card game, we have like little chips, Actually, you can only play it with a team because it's all about discussion, learning together how to build circular.
Agreeing on qualities, right?
Agreeing on qualities, agreeing on atmospheres, agreeing on like materials. So we like trade materials in this one station. Then there's also like buildings. So we have like little walls where you can really like rebuild the impact hub and then dismantle it again. Yeah, everybody gets like some cards, and then you say like, I have this card, and then you have to buy it, of course. And this is why you have like money, which is called circulars.
Hey, I found some old windows.
How much? How much is it?
75.
So I found some plywood, and this is also 75 circulars, but only 50 kilometers distance.
Ah, okay.
You have to kind of choose what kind of materials you need, where is it, how much does it cost, and then later you will talk with a craftsman. He or she looks at the material and tells you, and this is like this little dots here, how much effort it is to refurbish the material. If you found material that in the end doesn't work because it's too much effort really to refurbish it, then of course you kind of have to throw it away because it's not usable. So you start building, and then of course it is a matter of like how you connect. Of course the whole building, circular building methods is about not gluing but like screwing or
Other techniques to do that without
exactly. And then of course at the end of the game you can take everything smoothly apart and use it for another wall. So this is like the game.
That's so cool. Thank you.